Hello and welcome back to the biggest show in football. No, it's not the Champions League final. No, it's not the World Cup final. It's
The
me.
Europa League final?
It's me sitting on Juan's couch once again for
Let's
another
go.
episode. What have we got going this week?
Well, this week, first of all, we're matching. That's the first.
Yeah, so we are the same person.
We are the
for
same
this
person
week,
now.
yeah.
So for this week, we're gonna do our reactions to two big games that happened over the weekend. We had Roma Napoli. It was a clash at the top of the table in Italy,
Sort of. Yeah.
followed by Manchester United against Chelsea. Sort of both teams fighting for Champions League spots. Then we're gonna go on to a little expedition that I went on. I went to watch FC Groningen, the local team here where we live. Which
Yeah.
actually I don't know if we ever said that we live
I don't
in
know. I was
Groningen.
thinking about that as well. I don't think we have.
Well, we do. The city of Dusan Tadic, Arjen
Yeah.
Robben, Luis Suarez, all the legends, really.
Yeah.
So I went to watch them play against PSV. So we'll get kind of
Get
like
into
my
that,
reactions
yeah.
of that, and we'll finish off with a huge game this weekend. It's a Copa Libertadores final, the Champions League of South America.
I'm gonna
huge
leave saying that to you every single time. Any time we have to say that, it's gonna be you that's saying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can call it like the Freedom Cup. That's what it translates to. Like the Cup of
Really?
Freedom.
No.
Freedom.
We'll keep it how it is. But don't expect me to come in with that South American flair right there.
Well, Joga Bonito and stuff. So, but we'll see you very soon. All right, let's get into some reactions from the game's biggest weekends. Let's start in Italy, in the capital of Italy. Let's start in Rome at the Stadio Olimpico, where Roma played Napoli to 1-0 loss for Roma. I guess that was a weird way to phrase that.
Nil
but
one, one
0-1.
nil. Yeah.
But Napoli wins again. They're still unbeaten across
Flying
all
up.
competitions.
They must be one of the last ones in Europe, right?
I think so, because Real Madrid finally lost to Leipzig in the Champions League. So I think that, I think so. I think Napoli are the last unbeaten team at least in Europe's top fives. Yeah. And what were your thoughts on the game?
On the game, I think for a while it lacked a little bit of quality. But my God, when the quality did come, what a goal from Osimhen.
Oh, the finish. It was such a good goal.
It was a really nice goal. Napoli deserved to win. Roma barely threatened the goal at any point. Their attack just looked... bereft for ideas, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed so stale. I think losing Dybala is way bigger than I thought it would affect them, because they had nothing going up top.
No.
I think Tammy Abraham finished with 0 or maybe 1 shot in the whole game. Their expected goals was 0.2. They did not play well at all. Their defense was still solid, I thought. Considering that Napoli have been running over teams.
In any Jose team, you expect the defense to be decent. And if it's not, then it's going to be tough, because they don't really score that many goals. Any Jose teams.
Which is sad, because that team definitely has the personnel to be like Tammy Abraham is a very good striker. Zaniolo is obviously, I don't think he's going to reach the heights that he was supposed to reach because of his injuries. And I think I saw a crazy stat, actually. I think he's on 38 goals and assists in his Roma career, and he's on 37 yellow cards, which is kind of
it's a bit of a mean stat to pull out. Yeah.
But I thought that Napoli was just better. I think they deserve to win. Really.
They definitely deserve to win. But like you said, match was lacking a little bit of quality, especially for large portions of the game. Had Osimhen not scored that goal, I wouldn't know who I would have given a man of the match to. Just because there was no one that really stood out.
I thought Zielinski was very good.
Zielinski played all right. Our boy Kovac.
I heard it the other day when they commented.
I know, I heard.
Kravaklichka, something like that.
Something like that,
yeah.
He had some nice moments on the ball. Where he really sort of, took out a couple of players, which is really, really cool to see. And he's clearly very, very good on the ball.
I think he's at that point, he's peaking so much in form. like it was impossible to almost take the ball away from him. Like he's so good with his feet, like the little shifts, everything. Yeah. He's it's been a while since I think someone's exploded into the scene with so much impact without anyone knowing who he was. Like
coming really out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere because like it's I guess Haaland, but I think Haaland like people knew that he was good.
That's different. I mean, Haaland was at like a feeder club essentially when because he already made his name with Salzburg. That's where he was, right?
Before Dortmund.
And so when he started killing it in Dortmund, everyone was like, well, I mean, I think the majority of people were like, that makes sense. So I wouldn't put him in the same category as this guy because they picked him up for 10 million from fucking
Russia,
the Russian league.
Premier League. Like, and also his stats. I think he had like 20 something games, 4 goals and assists combined.
Yeah,
so
not a lot.
Clearly, something Spalletti's doing. Obviously, playing with better players also makes you better. But clearly, something Spalletti's doing is working for him and for the whole team. I think that this Napoli team, considering the lack of quality that we see from teams we expect to have the quality, like Juventus, which have been awful. Inter, they're 7th. They haven't really looked that good. It's basically just between them and Milan. So I really hope Napoli can do it.
I can see it happening as well. They look a team with so much confidence and no one's been able to really get
they're definitely Europe's most informed side. Like if you go for... And not just informed, like attractive to watch. Like,
very fun to watch.
They're so fun.
But that's
to watch.
always I find that always with Napoli. I've never looked at a Napoli team and been like, that's when they had Insigne and Dries Mertens, 2 of my favorite players to watch.
They always have these cheap FIFA Ultimate Team beasts. And right now, Osimhen, let me tell you, if you play FIFA Ultimate Team, pick him up. He's insane. He's insane. Like they always have these cheap beasts. Like they're really good. I hope they can keep doing it. But that's basically my final thoughts.
I didn't really have anything else to add on that game. I mean, it was a decent game, nothing special.
Could have been better, but it's a Jose game. Yeah, so exactly. What do we expect?
Now, Man United,
your
Chelsea.
Boys.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
We should have won.
Yeah.
We were the better team, in my opinion, which feels really good to say against an opposition like Chelsea. Some things that sort of shot out to me a little bit. Rashford, again, he might not be finishing too many chances, but he is the one where the space is being created. Yeah. He is creating the opportunities, and that counts for a lot.
His movement, his runs.
Really
good.
Yeah, he had two maybe one-on-one chances with Kepa. Antony should have scored.
Antony should have scored that chance.
Man needs to work on his right foot.
Yeah, he definitely should have scored. There were a couple of chances that were quite close, but I thought Kepa did well.
Kepa played really well.
Again, like this is a whole topic in itself, but he's easily becoming the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players that everyone called a flop because he was...
Yeah.
How much did they pay? 70 mil?
70 million, yeah. 70 million, and... Obviously, you can't blame the price tag on him if that's like what Chelsea's willing to pay. But he's gone from... Because it's different to Firmino, right? Like, Firmino was like a slow regression, but no one was saying, oh, you're terrible. Like, don't get on the pitch. Like, oh, Firmino. Yeah. Because he's also had a comeback this year. But Kepa, like, his reputation was on the ground. Like, everyone literally thought he was the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League at one point. And now that he has confidence again...
Yeah, there was a point where nothing was being stopped by him.
Everything would go in off his face, off his... everything that hit it somehow magnets straight to the back of the net. But I thought, he played quite well. I thought Varane and Martinez were so good at the back.
The defense impressed me so much.
For United. Yeah. Like, Martinez was so good that game again. Like,
we shut them down for huge parts of the game, which I thought was really impressive for a team that struggled defensively.
But I would say that you have to give credit also to Graham Potter for switching the game plan. I thought the first 30 minutes it looked like
you guys were going to... off again?
He took Cucurella out for Kovacic in the midfield. And I think that really changed the game. I think it allowed Chelsea to actually get back into it. Because once Kovacic came in and the team kind of started playing better with this 4 at the back and the 3 midfielders, I thought that Chelsea started taking like more control of the game. And Aubameyang probably should have put 1 or 2 away that he had up top.
Yeah, I watched the highlights again today, and they were kind of half chances.
Yeah, the one with the touch, that one you can't really blame him. It's like kind of difficult, but yeah, I mean, penalty, that was stupid.
I got to talk about the penalty. Yeah. It was a penalty. There's no doubt in my mind about that. 100%. And it just annoys me because McTominay is a player that I still think can be good at United, and but he just keeps on screwing up. And this one was the man just came on the field.
It was way
and gives
too
away
obvious.
a penalty. It was so obvious, and I've seen Harry Maguire do it as well. They think they can get away with just grabbing people in the box.
And also it was funny because no one else was moving except what is his name, Broja or Borja? The guy he fouled, Armando.
I'm not too sure.
Well, the guy he fouled, him and McTominay were the only two players moving in the box, and McTominay just tackles him on the ground.
It was daft, man. It was so daft. And then the Casemiro header, I want to talk. It's a hell of a header.
That's a really good header. And the ball from Luke Shaw is very nice too.
And Kepa almost gets there. Like he gets a touch on it to turn it onto the post, which was already a big deal because that thing was heading for the corner. And then almost kept it from going over the line.
So close. But I felt like it was deserved. I felt like
we deserve
1-1
more.
was the right. Not the right score. I think United maybe could have done it. I don't think it's an unfair result. Like Chelsea also had their chances.
I'll take a 1-1.
At the bridge
had you told me you're going to the bridge, you're going to get a point, I would have been pretty stoked.
Yeah,
with that.
I mean, it was a good performance from both teams. I think United again proving that they're getting better and better each game under Ten Hag, which is good to see. So yeah, I mean, in general, a fun. I mean, not the most amazing game, but a fun ending for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't able to. I could have screamed, but a little. We were watching. We had sort of two screens on again. We've got the Premier League on, and it was fight night. So
some UFC.
Watching some UFC, and so the time had come where the UFC was taking off, and so I had mine on mute while the fights going on, and there's just me. I'm the only one in the room watching it, and I'm just because I couldn't tell if it had gone in initially because you can't hear the commentary either or the crowd.
And there was a lot of there were United players celebrating. There were some Chelsea players just standing around waiting to get the ball or something.
So I'm trying to make out what's happening. I'm like half of my chair ready to celebrate. But yeah, stoked that we found that equalizer, and it's just so satisfying when you get a late goal like that.
Especially a header. That's old to me.
And it was looping, and I was like, no way is that going in. Yeah. And then it just dropped in, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Oh, I think this was also maybe your best starting 11, probably. I would probably take Sancho out. I mean, I said this before. Put Rashford on the left.
I was going to bring that up. Top. I don't think Sancho played well in this game.
No, Sancho, I didn't think. I think his time, he needs to figure something out with that team.
Shape up or?
Yeah, shape out. I don't know, because I don't think Ten Hag is going to deal with it for much longer.
But that's the end of that segment. Just trying to wrap it up in the time, but we will be right back with Juan's little Groningen excursion. All right, welcome back. We're going to talk here to Juan about his experience in
FC Groningen fan number 1.
Yeah, Groningen against PSV, which was a great game that took place this weekend.
It was awesome.
A little bit of background. Those who are watching and don't know, me and Juan are both students studying in Groningen at the moment, which is a city located right at the top, not right at the top, but it's pretty much the furthest northern city in the Netherlands. We're studying journalism here, but they also have a football team in the Eredivisie, and they played PSV this weekend and they won.
Which was crazy.
Which is a big deal. And Juan was there. So we're going to talk through his experience of going to the game at the moment. So, Juan, where were you seated? In the stadium,
so I was, to be specific, section P, row 5, seat. No, okay. So I was how do I explain this? So I was next to the goal. but not behind it, but rather next to the goal. And in the first half, it was PSV's goal. So Groningen was shooting that way.
So
Groningen
was attacking to your goal.
To my end, and then when they switched, PSV was attacking on my end.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was the perfect seat because like the game started off super slow. I mean, not super slow, just like Groningen could not get the ball at all. Like it was just long ball football, and I think that's kind of their tactic this year. The team, since I've lived here, I would say, is probably one of the worst ones I've seen in terms of...
They're languishing down in the bottom half, right?
Yeah, so before the game, they were 16th, which is the final relegation place in the Netherlands. Yeah. That's a playoff place. So
is it 18 teams?
There's 18. Yeah. So technically, like from 16, you could still survive because you got to play like the team that comes third in the second division. But they were not doing good. They were not doing good at all. Like some really bad results. Like they lost 6-1 to Ajax at home. Like I know it's Ajax, but still, that's
not a great Ajax team.
It's not the most amazing one. And so my expectation going to the game was, okay, PSV, a team that's scoring a lot of goals, flying high.
Just beat Arsenal, by the way.
Just beat Arsenal, like what, 2 hours? Not even 30 minutes ago or something. So I went in at the second in the league. Like I was okay. This one is like I was super excited to obviously support Groningen, but I was excited to watch PSV. I wanted to see Cody Gakpo, who's been having an insane year. I wanted to see Xavi Simons. And I also wanted to see Ruud van Nistelrooy. I mean, he looked great on the touchline, and it was kind of crazy to like when I was standing up, like I could see him and be like, "Oh, that's Ruud van Nistelrooy right there."
Oh, it's that guy from FIFA.
Yeah, the icon. I didn't know he was a real person. So yeah, it was awesome to like sit also where I was sitting because. Yeah, Groningen in the 39th minute scored.
So that was the first goal, right?
That was the first goal.
And so it was 3-0 before the half. Or it was
3-1
So you had
half.
4 goals in the space of, what, 7-8 minutes?
9 minutes, yeah, with the added time. Yeah. And it was also so against the run of play. And honestly, I didn't actually see the goal until the guy took the shot because I was watching it and PSV was just controlling the ball.
That generally happens though, right? You don't see the ball go in before they take the shot.
That's true.
But you didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it. That's what I meant. I didn't see it coming. So, because PSV were just controlling the ball and like it was hard to watch because I was also quite low in the stadium. Like it wasn't like I was up with the goal. Like I was really close to the pitch. So it was like my depth of perception was quite off with the other side of the pitch because I couldn't tell like, oh, is the ball close to the keeper? Is it far? Like the only thing I did see was like a crazy save from the keeper from a cross by PSV, and then I'm not sure.
The keeper had a blinder. Huh?
He was man of the match. He was ridiculous. He's 22 years old. Jan de Boer. Yeah. Insane keeper. Like he made this point blank save where he dove from the center all the way to the right. With one hand, he got the header out to keep it 0-0. And that's kind of when I was like, okay, yeah, this one's going to be like a 5-0 spanking. Like, I mean, it's fun to come watch. And then I was just like watching the game, not really paying that much attention because PSV just had the ball at the half. Back pass, center back takes a terrible touch, leaves Ngonga one-on-one with the keeper. Cyril Ngonga, he's one of the few that's also like standing out for Groningen. One-on-one with the keeper, he misses it, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, the one chance. And then Ricardo Pepi. The man of the hour, Mr. USA himself.
And so, what was it? What was the atmosphere like when that?
When the goal went in, I think there was shock. I think no one, like everyone, started seeing the run of Ngonga towards the keeper, and everyone started like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then when he missed, it kind of like for me, it was over. He missed, and I was like, okay, our only chance of the game, like it's over. Yeah. And then Pepe put the rebound in, and. Wow, he celebrated like right in front of me. Like right in front of me. He came to my corner flag. And he's so good. I think he's starting to become one of these like little Groningen cult heroes like Luis Suarez, like Virgil van Dijk, like Tadic. Like obviously I don't know if he'll ever reach the level of those guys. But he has 5 goals in the league. Considering for a team that's fighting for relegation, that's very impressive.
Is he quite young?
Yeah, I think he's 22. I want to say 21. He's on loan from Augsburg, and there was a big deal about him when he was in the MLS because he was scoring at will at like 18 or something like that. Yeah, and he went from there to Augsburg, and now he's on loan here. And everybody in the stadium was like chanting his name. I think that people really like him, his work ethic, and like also when Groningen was playing terribly at the first 40 minutes. He was the guy that kept going like, you could tell he was pissed. Like he could understand that, like, okay, we're going to play long ball and sit back because we can't do anything else. But he was pissed that he wasn't getting the right passes, that it just wasn't working out. And then they scored. Great. Groningen suddenly have a lot of momentum. Corner. Shout out to my girlfriend for filming it.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in the edit as well. We've got a little bit of fan footage.
Yeah, of the corner, boom, and then the header, boom, by the center back. Yeah. Huge center back. He was really good throughout the whole game. In my opinion, he was the man of the match. I don't remember his name. He's number 12 for Groningen. He was man of the match for me. He scored the second goal, and he stopped like most of the PSV attacks.
Yeah. And what was the feeling like at 3-0 up just before PSV got in their goal in the half? Was it just pure disbelief?
Yeah, honestly, when the second goal went in from the corner, it was also a huge celebration, but it was almost a bit scary because a 2-0 lead is more comfortable than a 1-0 lead, right? Yeah. Because like you start losing it, and like knowing the team that Groningen was playing against, I was scared like, oh, this second half PSV is going to run riot.
Yeah.
But then Ngonga scored a beautiful goal. He made a nice run. He scored from outside the box, finished to the bottom corner. And that's when it hit like, oh, they can win. Like they can actually, yeah. That's when I was like, okay, they can actually win this game. Like that's when it started sitting. And then Sangare scored. I thought he was so good. Ibrahim Sangare, number 6 for PSV. I think any top club in Europe should be looking at him. He's so good in the middle of the field. I mean, like, I'm saying this considering that as a CDM, he conceded 4 goals to a team that probably scored like 2 all season so far. But I thought that he was really good, and he scored.
Yeah.
And then the second half was nervy.
So, you're up 3-1 at the half, and you guys Groningen held that lead for quite a while, I believe. And then
until
around
the
75th minute, someone comes up from a corner, I think.
It was Gus Till. He scored a header. I don't know if it was from a corner or from like the second ball from the corner, but it was a cross. But even at that point, Cody Gakpo, he hit the bar twice.
There was some insane chances. You even having scored... Yeah. They go on to score 4.
Yeah.
But even with 4 goals, it's surprising that PSV didn't score 5.
No, like it's crazy because they hit the bar 3 times in the second half. I think Gakpo was the reason why they hit it twice. The keeper just kept making brilliant save after brilliant save. I thought and you could just tell Cody Gakpo, Xavi Simons, just a league of their own. Like, especially with the ball at their feet. And Cody Gakpo, he's so scary. Like, he gets the ball, and especially the second half, he was on my wing. So I saw and he got every ball.
He just drives at players.
He really reminds me of Ronaldo at United. But not now, when he first went. Like,
I obviously, can see
nowhere near the level of talent, of course. But very good player, and like just a physical. He's like, what, 6 foot? Or 6'2". Yeah, that's like 6'2". He's 6'2" as a winger, good finishing, amazing dribbler, powerful runner. Like I think like if United, like we said about Sancho, he would be a great pickup for Ten Hag.
And so they get one back in the 75th, so now we're at 3-2. And then I think it's late on. I think 80.
It's 91st.
91st minute, I think. Yeah. They grab and make it 4-2.
And that was the best goal of the game.
It must have been, because that's the moment when you know at that point that it's won.
Because even when if it would have been 3-0 going into the half, I would have had more faith. But when it was 3-1, immediately the thoughts
as soon as they get
that's
goal
a 2-goal advantage. Like, they might come back. And there's also been no reason to have faith on Groningen regardless anyway. So, like, of course, I was thinking they're going to concede 4 goals. So it was super tense. The last 15 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat. Everybody was super tense. The last goal I thought was Groningen's best goal and maybe the best goal of the game.
It was a great finish. Yeah.
The finish, the build-up, like it was just like nice counter, pass it to the left, ran down the wing, made another pass, and then they put the ball in. So I thought that it was such a good goal that they scored.
It was a really nice goal. And what was the vibe like? Because Groningen is a student city. What was the vibe like leaving the stadium? Was it a very sort of party atmosphere?
Yeah, I think you could see a lot of people were already quite drunk. I mean, it was 2 p.m. kickoff. That's not very reasonable to be getting drunk. But
it is in these parts.
Yeah. I mean, I had 2 big beers. I also can't complain. But there were a lot of drunk people at the end. I thought it would be bigger. Like, I remember when I also went to watch when Groningen beat Ajax 2-1. The atmosphere there felt crazier. And I don't know if it's because the team...
It's because it's Ajax.
Maybe because if it's Ajax, but also maybe like there's little faith that this team can actually do anything from this. I think it was very much seen as like a fluke result. Also because it is. Like, it was 4-2 on paper, but actually it should have been like 5-1 to PSV.
Have you checked the expected goals for that one?
It was 1.6 for Groningen, which I thought was quite high, and it was 3 or 2.9 for PSV. So actually it was closer than I expected, but it should have been 3-1 if you look at the expected goals for PSV. Yeah. So, and they also had like 30 shots. Groningen had 17, which is also quite a lot actually, but yeah, overall, go FC Groningen. It's tough to come up to the north. Not everyone can do that.
It's a tough place to come.
It gets cold. Ruud van Nistelrooy, who are you?
And we're here. No one wants to.
Yeah, nobody. I was Argentinian guy on the edge. I kept talking to the keeper of PSV because he's Argentinian. So I could go like, Walter! I kept shouting at him, like, Walter! And he wouldn't look at me. I wish he would have looked at me. I would have waved. But yeah, it was a great game. And honestly, if you're in Groningen or if you ever come by, I suggest going. The atmosphere is great. It's a beautiful stadium. It's all green and white. And yeah, it's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I still haven't been to one. So
yeah, well, we gotta get you out there.
Maybe that could be an episode. We have hit 10 subscribers, so we need to do it.
The special is coming soon. Thank you, Jason's dad, for subscribing. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right, we will be back in just a sec with our last segment where we will preview the. Do you want to say it?
Copa Libertadores.
There you go. Just a sec.
Let's get into our last segment of the show. We are previewing a huge game, the Copa Libertadores final between, it's an all-Brazilian final once again.
Yeah.
Flamengo and Atlético Paranaense. I'm not sure even how to say the Atlético because there's an H in between, but so they were going to be playing in Brazil, and it's in Ecuador. That's where the final is.
Is it a two-legged final?
So it used to be, but now I think this will be the fourth final with the one leg.
Okay.
So they're following like the Champions League model, and this is just like showing the Brazilian dominance over the South American football landscape. 3 years in a row, we're having an all-Brazil final. I mean. It's not that crazy because usually it's Brazilian and Argentinian teams competing, but to have it 3 finals in a row with all Brazilian clashes is, I mean, they're definitely getting in a lot of money. I mean, you're going to be talking about Flamengo, and I'll be taking over the Paranaense side.
Yeah.
And I thought it was quite interesting. Like, so Flamengo, they got a lot of players that are quite well known, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to run through a list of some players that have played in Europe there. So we've got Thiago Maia, who played, I think, the 3 seasons at Lille. And we've got Gabriel Barbosa, who...
Gabigol.
Yeah, he's got a very well-known name.
Yeah.
But he never actually broke... So he was at Inter for 2 years, but I think he had 9 appearances the whole time.
Yeah.
So never really got into the starting 11.
I think he went to Europe the same time that Gabriel Jesus went, maybe, and it was kind of like, who's going to be the better Gabriel?
Yeah. And clearly someone won that race.
Well, Gabriel Jesus is not playing in no continental finals, so...
That's true. Not yet.
Not yet.
And then there's also a fella called Pablo, who did 6 seasons with Bordeaux.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the 2 big names, Felipe Luis and David Luiz.
David Luiz also plays for Flamengo right now.
I'm pretty sure there was a David Luiz in the squad list. So I'm pretty sure. Let me
I mean,
check that
it could be, yeah. Like I don't really recall him signing for an English side or any
Brazilian
team. Yeah, for Flamengo. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so...
stacked team.
They've really got a couple of big names in there. But yeah, a couple more things about Flamengo. I think they're edging the Atletico in terms of form at the moment, for sure. And in terms of, I think they're the bigger club as well. So they've just come off winning the Copa do Brazil, I think it's called.
Yeah. Which is like the FA Cup of Brazil.
Yeah. So they've just come off winning that last week. So they're riding sky high on confidence. They also lead the head-to-head of this season 2-1 between the 2 teams. So they beat Atletico on the way to winning the Copa do Brazil. And also in the league, that's where Atletico got their one win, but also Flamengo, they both won their home games.
Yeah.
And
Flamengo
won 5-0.
Yeah.
So they trounced them the last time.
Never really
they
fun
played.
to see that. I think that's also why I dislike all English, all Spanish, all Italian, whatever finals in the Champions League, which I think are way more common in South America because of the fact that Brazil and Argentina dominate the competition so much.
Yeah.
It's never really fun to see a game, despite of the as a neutral. I think the hype dies down when you have two teams that have already played each other 3 times this year.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Obviously, I think you might be able to tell. I don't follow the Brazilian league.
Really?
I think I watched last year's Libertadores final, and that was the only one I've ever watched.
The Palmeiras against Flamengo final.
Might have been the year before. No, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that Palmeiras I think won 2-1 or 1-0.
Yeah, it was a really dramatic
time.
late goal. Yeah. So that was the first time I ever watched a sort of Libertadores game in general. But in terms of other stuff with Flamengo this season, they've absolutely cruised through the Libertadores. Like this is, they haven't lost at all. So all the group stage games, they drew one group stage game. The rest they've all won. And on the road to the final as well, they beat a team, I think 7-1 in the quarters. And then in the semis, they won that one, I think 6-1 on aggregate.
Oh, wow.
So they, let me see. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
they played Vélez.
They beat which is an Argentinian team. Yeah. Beat them 6-1 on aggregate. And undefeated in their last 6 games. And in the last 3 months, they've only lost once.
Wow.
So they're really
on form. And last year's first runner-up to the competition, which they also won, what is it now? 4 years ago they won it.
Yeah.
So clearly the team on form and clearly a team with the experience of being there, which I think is the opposite to the team I'm covering, Atletico Paranaense. Yeah. So they are kind of an interesting team. Like they don't have this same type of star names that Flamengo has been able to get.
Well, they got one big star name.
They got the biggest one, perhaps. Man City legend Fernandinho, waiting for the statue to arrive outside the stadium. So he's joined there after a lot of years at City, and immediately the coach, who I think that's kind of a big reason why they made it so far. So they're coached by Luis Felipe Scolari. So he won the World Cup with Brazil in 2002. He's won the Libertadores before. He's won trophies basically almost everywhere that he's been. He coached Chelsea, not to the most success, but he's coached big teams. So he has a lot of experience being a high level coach. And ever since Fernandinho joined, he switched the way the team plays from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3. Which I thought was quite interesting because he's kind of playing Fernandinho more as a center mid rather than a CDM like Pep did. Yeah. But you can tell that he's putting in his impact and his quality is he's still very, very good player.
Do you think that maybe because it's a step down in terms of a league, that maybe the lack of pace in his play, the lack of sort of physical ability that he's lost with age allows him to play in that center mid position?
I think so. I mean, I think it's also similar to when Dani Alves joined a couple of years ago and he was playing as the number 10, I think that the speed of the game in Europe is a lot higher. Yeah. And I think when you play Libertadores and just South American football in general, you have to be mentally very tough. And I think Fernandinho is that. And his IQ is probably... his football IQ is probably higher than most of the players he plays with and against because of what he's experienced. He's been in Champions League finals. He's been in the highest
Never won
games.
It, though.
Never won it, but he's been there once.
Yeah. I think he is one of those players, a couple players come to mind in this category where their physical attributes may not be the best, but they get by because they know the game so well.
He just reads it completely.
Like a sort of Sergio Busquets kind of.
He's not beating anyone in a sprint race, but
he's
always there.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
So Fernandinho has been a big part, but a huge part. I mean, not huge because statistically he's not really there, but sort of the most exciting thing about this Paranaense side is Victor Roca.
I've seen this.
So he's already being linked with every big club in
17,
Europe.
Huh?
He's 17, and he was 16 at the start of the year, so he's 2005. So he's just turned
2005.
17.
This professional footballer from 2005.
2000. He's playing in a final of and he starts. I checked to make sure the last starting lineups from Paranese's run, and he's starting every game at striker.
Yeah.
So he plays striker, winger. I think he's got. Let me check. He's got 6 goals, 3 assists in all competitions. It's nothing insane, but it's a guy who averages around 41 minutes of playing time.
Yeah, because when I look at it, I think he's come off the bench in a lot of his
way
appearances.
more. So
right?
I think he's got 27 appearances, but only 11 starts. But I think his starts have definitely been racking up more as the season has progressed. Unlike Flamengo, so Victor Roca, he's been huge for the team. And unlike Flamengo, Paranese has not had an easy time through the whole thing. They also haven't lost a game, which I thought was quite interesting but they have been scraping through everything. So they came second in their group. They 10 points, same as the leader, whatever, that's fine. Then they needed a 90th minute equalizer against Libertad from Paraguay to go through to the quarterfinals, beat them on aggregate. Then Roca scored in the 96th minute in Argentina against Estudiantes to knock them out 1-0 on aggregate. And then they came back against 2-time defending Libertadores final Palmeiras in the semifinal. They were down 2-1 in the 65th minute on aggregate of the second game. And they scored 2 goals, one in the 65th and one in the 89th, in the 89th to win the tie. So they have literally just been scraping through miraculous goal after miraculous goal. And honestly, it is the worst goals I've ever seen. It takes it's like a remote control smash type of goals where the ball bounces 20 times in the box and someone
it's not total football.
Not at all. Weird cross, guy heads it down, the balls are bouncing everywhere, someone puts their toe on it, goes in, Very bad goals, but they're scraping through. They have
goals a goal, right?
Goals are goals. They're not doing as well as Flamengo even in the league. I think Flamengo is second in the league behind Palmeiras, and Paranese are 6, and they have a negative goal difference, which is quite alarming for a team that's 6 to be on negative goal difference. But it just seems like they're a tough team to beat, and somehow always manage to pull something out of a hat.
And when you come into a cup final, it's
anybody's game, And I think it's cool that it's in Ecuador. I don't know why I think it's cool, but I think it's cool.
Yeah. I think I saw as well because I started and I did a little bit of research on these guys as well. The last time that they were in the final, I think was something like 17 years ago or something.
05, yeah. Also against the Brazilian side, but they lost it. So they don't have the cup experience that Flamengo has.
But also they were forced to play their home game 700 kilometers away from their own stadium. So they never really got a home advantage, because that's when I think they still had 2 legs.
Yeah, back then it was 2 legs. And honestly, that's quite a controversial thing, but I suggest maybe bringing that back for South America, because I think in Europe...
the 2-legged?
Yeah, final. I like the magic of the 1-legged final and what it does, but I think the 2 legs, South America isn't like Europe where fans, like a Liverpool fan, can buy himself and his friends or his family, whatever, that they can go to Paris and watch a Champions League final
they can't make
against
the trip.
right. Like there's a lot of fans that financially cannot make the trip, and I think that was what was so beautiful about the 2-leg final, that fans, like diehard fans, could guarantee themselves watching their team play in a final at their own stadium. Because the last time I watched River Plate win this cup, it was a 2-legged final against we beat Tigres one year, and we beat Boca Juniors. Oh my God, how could I forget? Of course, that second leg we also didn't get it at home because of 5 violence. But I remember the one in 2015 that River Plate won, when we played the second game at home, and it was 0-0 in Mexico. The 3-0, I've never heard a stadium explode like that, know? I think it'd be also quite interesting in Europe if they did the 2-legged final. But it would get weird because in the second game, I feel like is an advantage to the team.
I would really dislike that if they did that here. I think a final... I mean, you have the whole league to figure out who's best over 38 games,
Right.
But you have the cup to find out who's best in those one, because sometimes teams perform better in cup situations.
I mean, look at Simeone, not this year, but usually he's a very good cup coach.
Yeah,
right?
but I think it also the one-legged tie if you're a neutral observer to it, sort of gives space for a bit more magic in the game as well.
True,
Had you played, let's say, the Chelsea City final from a few years ago, had that been 2 legs, I would have bet my house on City winning that tie, you know? And Liverpool Real Madrid, this
at
just
Anfield,
been, you know? Had that been 2 legs, Liverpool's taking it home.
That's true.
Know?
I also does take away from the magic if, let's say, if it's 2-legged and the first leg ends 3-0 for one team.
Then it's over.
Realistically, that team, unless they're going back to play at home, if they're going to play away, they're going to shut shop and like that's it. Like you win the final. So.
But then, on the contrary to that, you could have a Liverpool-Barcelona situation where one team goes up 3-0 in the first leg, and then the other team comes back 4-0.
Yeah, you never know, but it's definitely
football, huh?
It's definitely something to think about. The 2-legged. I mean, I don't think we're gonna see it back because they like this new model of the 1-legged.
Also in Europe, they play plenty of games already.
We don't need another final. No.
You've already got bloody Chelsea boss man talking about bringing an all-star weekend. what a puck whip.
So back to the game. I mean, I guess we kind of covered everything.
We got to do a score prediction.
We got to do a score prediction, which, by the way, we didn't say, but I think we both guessed. Oh no, I guessed Chelsea to win, so I didn't get that right, but I did guess Napoli to win, so that's nice.
I can't remember what I said.
But
I remember I wasn't backing United to win, I don't think.
You never do.
Yeah. Funny that, huh? But anyway, score prediction for this one. I'm going to go 1-1.
1-1.
Penalties.
Oof.
Atletico win.
No. I kind of hope that they do just because I want Fernandinho to win.
I just hope I'm speaking my prediction into
I do want Paranese to win also because the last time River were in the final we lost to Flamengo in heartbreaking fashion. Yeah. So they can suck it. But I
hope that's going to be hard to take out.
We'll find a way. I'm going to go Flamengo 2-0. I'm going to boring final.
I guess on form, I'm just wanting like a little bit.
It would be nice. I mean, like I said, Paranese, they seem to somehow pull the rabbit out the hat. So who knows? Maybe they do it. The game's Saturday at 10 p.m. if you're in Europe. So, if you're not up to anything, check it out. I think it might be interesting to widen your horizon.
Put the podcast in the background.
Yeah, to see oh, no way David Luiz plays here. I wouldn't have recognized him without Jason telling me he plays here.
And Jason got his prediction right. Oh my God. It went to penalties and they won.
I have to share, and subscribe to this podcast.
Yeah. If I get my prediction right, every one of the 20 people watching this, subscribe, and just send this to 10 people, otherwise you get bad luck.
Share or you hate your mom.
All right, we're getting off track here. The point is, share it to your friends. We really like making this stuff, but obviously it does make a huge difference if we have more people watching. But yeah, we will see you again next week. It's been a pleasure.